Welcome to Divorce and Other Things You Can Handle, a branded podcast from Worthy. I'm Audrey and I am your host. A woman is like a diamond, strong, resilient, and beautiful.
That's great.
It's great. So we wanted to open this episode with this quote because today we're talking about diamonds. We haven't really talked about diamonds on the podcast before. But Divorce and Other Things You Can Handle was created as a way for us to help bring you more of the things that we think you're looking for at this time in your life. But what Worthy really does is help you sell in a safe and smart way. And we're going to be talking about that today. So we're not in the business of convincing anybody to sell diamond jewelry or watches that they have, but we have found that a lot of people are looking for this solution, and so we're really glad that we can provide a safe way to do it. It's a lot of work, and we try to make it easier for you. And I'm really excited that today I am joined by Roy Albers, who is our Executive Director of Laboratory Valuations and our Chief Gemologist. And he's really one of the people who makes Worthy not just a solution to help you get a great deal, but a wonderful place that we can all be proud to work. So we're gonna look a little bit at some of the jewelry that we have here. So if you're listening to this episode, we will link to the video at worthy.com/podcast and on all of our social channels. We'll make it really easy for you to find this video, but it's definitely worth checking out because we've got some sparkly things here, in addition to Roy and myself. Divorce and Other Things You Can Handle is a weekly podcast, so make sure you subscribe to keep up with new episodes we're curating to help empower and uplift you as you embrace your fresh start. This podcast is for you, so reach out to us at podcast@worthy.com to let us know what you think and what you want to hear. You can also get more at worthy.com/podcast. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with Roy. And I thought we could do something fun. You can read our ad for the people watching the video.
Okay, great. When you sell a piece of jewelry, you can't control how much it is worth, but you can make sure that you're selling smart with a team of experts and advocates behind you at Worthy. Your engagement ring can be a financial asset that allows you to embrace a new and fulfilling life after divorce. Let us help you get the best possible deal for your jewelry you've outgrown. Go to worthy.com/podcast to learn more.
That was great.
Thank you.
So fun. Thank you
My
for
first
indulging me. Yeah, it was great. You nailed it. So I'm so excited that you are on the podcast.
Thanks
Welcome.
for having me.
Absolutely. This is when we first started thinking about doing the podcast. This was one of the things that I used to sell it to the company. I said,
Right.
I'm going to sit down with Roy. We're going to look at rings. It's going to be great. And
Perfect.
I'm so proud of this company and what we do. And you are really a pillar of what makes Worthy. And I'm just so, you're the first man, and maybe you'll be the only man to be on the podcast, but if there's going to be one, it's going to be you.
Well, thank you. It's
We're
really exciting.
so excited you're
Yes.
here. And I was hoping that you could give our listeners or our viewers kind of an idea of what Worthy is, what we do.
Okay. So Worthy is the first online marketplace for selling pre-owned luxury goods. What it means is we auction jewelry and collectibles to professional buyers. We have a very expansive marketplace of buyers internationally and domestically here in the United States. We've been in operation since 2011 and in many different businesses and iterations of Worthy. And now we, since 2013, have been operating as an online auction house. We've auctioned over $20 million worth of items and collectibles for people, and we've been a very big asset to the divorce community who didn't have an outlet for their jewelry. As you know, most jewelry stores won't buy back the rings they sell for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And if you go to a pawn shop, you're going to get so little of the value. And the founder saw this opportunity for us and for the divorce community. And it's really been, I think, a very fulfilling thing for the employees
Right.
here.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I am a divorcee, not a woman though, but I've been down that road, and I know what it's like. I know what the male's perspective is on
Yeah.
it. And so,
But I think you're right that like when you're in that moment, there's so much going on. There's
Yes.
so much to worry about. You're going
Yes.
through so many changes.
Yep.
And selling a ring is a lot of work. I mean,
Yes.
you can find these videos on YouTube of especially women
Yes.
going into the diamond district and just getting totally ripped off.
Yes.
And you have, it's so much footwork. I mean, you have to walk around, meet all these people. It can feel kind of icky, and
Yeah.
we have really,
and there's so much emotion tied up in
Right,
it.
right.
That's the big thing. You have
Yeah.
so much emotion tied up into this high valued item.
Right.
And you need to have someone to really help you distill it all down
Absolutely.
and move it away from
Right.
of the emotion and
Yeah.
the attachment to it, and figure out what the value is.
It's
And-
interesting that you say that, because we had Lori Itkin on our podcast, and she's the financial advisor we worked with on our white
Yes.
paper and everything. We love her. And one of the things that she talked about was how people have really emotional connections to their money.
Yes.
And by hiring a financial advisor, you really have somebody who's just looking at the facts, who's going to kind of help you move through it, because it can be really overwhelming, and diamonds are exactly the same way.
Same thing.
And what's unique about a divorcee in the diamond market is that she's likely to really just have the one item. Maybe she has some other gifts that her ex-husband gave her,
Right.
but she's not someone who can walk into the diamond district with a bunch of inventory that she's pushing
Right.
and be making those kind of relationships and deals.
Yes.
But what's amazing about Worthy, and that's why I wrote this ad that you read that says a team of experts and advocates.
Right.
So you are the head of the team of experts and advocates,
Yes.
and you are sort of like the dream advocate that somebody would want to have behind them when they're selling a diamond.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I haven't even mentioned Tiffany's in like the ads for this episode, anything. So let's get a little bit of a background
Okay.
professionally. How lucky are we to have you at Worthy?
Okay, so I'm a jewelry brat. I grew up in the business. My parents had a jewelry store. I went to GIA instead of going to college.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Good for you.
And so I have been in the jewelry business for a long, long time. I won't tell you how old I am, but a long time. And I started at my parents' store for a number of years, and found that I didn't like the retail. I wanted to be more involved with diamonds and buying diamonds and selling diamonds and gemstones and pearls. And I was very fortunate enough to work with a company called Kremens and Company in Newark, New Jersey, which at the time, back in the 80s, was the largest jewelry manufacturer in the United States. So I was fortunate enough to mentor under a gentleman who took me around the world,
Wow.
buying and selling diamonds, gemstones, pearls.
Was that as glamorous as it sounds?
No, it's not glamorous because you're going to a lot of places, to mines,
Yeah,
to
not-
China, to
that's not-
India,
right,
and
okay.
you have very large financial transactions
Yeah.
that, and back in the
And
80s,
you were carrying the inventory?
no, we didn't carry anything.
Okay.
We had everything shipped to us and
Okay.
back and forth. But back in the 80s, early 80s, there wasn't the internet, so it was telex
Okay.
and phones. And a phone call out of India cost $300 for about 5 minutes. So
Wow.
you never called, and I was traveling a lot. 7 months out of the year, I was overseas.
Wow.
And I did that for 11 years until Tiffany came calling and wanted me to head up their gemstone acquisitions department and consolidate all their buying of loose gemstones, diamonds, and pearls.
So I just want to underline that for people who are listening or watching. Tiffany came to him and asked him to be in charge.
Yes. And so it was a very big honor and a very big challenge. And we set up a team. We rewrote the How to Buy a Diamond book.
Wow.
And back then, Tiffany had 10 stores, and from there,
So
Boom.
you wrote the book on how to buy a
I
diamond.
rewrote it.
You rewrote the
Yeah,
book on
yes.
how to write a diamond.
With today's
and-
modern cutting.
Okay, and
Yes.
that is something, I mean, I again, I started the episode by saying we don't want to convince anybody to sell their ring.
Right.
That's not the worthy way.
Yes.
But we know that a lot of people are looking for the solution, and if they are, you are the guy. You rewrote the book.
Well, that's how to buy one. Now we're talking about how to sell one.
Right, but our buyers read the book.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So you were at Tiffany's.
Yes, and I was there for many years, and then I got divorced, and I left, and then went into. That was during the first internet bubble.
Okay.
And a bunch of us from Tiffany did a startup in the internet, which unfortunately didn't do very well, but it got me into this whole online business, which I love, and found that I really like to build businesses and work with teams like Worthy, and so when Worthy came along, I was at another internet startup, and Worthy came along, and the founder came to me and said, and a friend came to me and said, you should really look into this. And I saw that this is something that not only is a very good business,
right,
but it has a cause that resonates with a lot of the people that work here.
Right.
And so that's what makes it fulfilling for me. It makes it, I'm a father of 5, and it makes me feel very good about that I can give back to people this way. And so that's my story. That's how I got here. And I'm really, really happy that this business can do what it does for people.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is certainly a different kind of job than you had in the past. You're still working every day with diamonds. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day is like?
So my day-to-day is pretty much about...
You have water there also, by the way, if you'd like some.
My day-to-day is pretty much surrounded by the products that are coming in, that people ship to us. And the shipping process is probably our customer's biggest fear in the beginning. How do I put my ring in a box, a FedEx box, and ship it to you? And we insure 100% the item based on the value that the customer has in their appraisal or their bill of sale, or a document that values their piece. And we'll insure it up to $100,000. If it's over $100,000, and we do have items all the time that are over $100,000, then we arrange for a non-FedEx shipment, and we do a Brinks or Malca mid-shipment, which are armed carriers, which will come either to your business or to your home and pick up the item for you, fully insured by Worthy, and delivered here. And once it gets here, we have obviously tracking on it through FedEx and the other carriers. Once it arrives here, the package is opened up under a camera, and we then right away take another still picture of it, a close-up picture that identifies it with the barcode. We know exactly what we've received.
So it gets a new internal barcode.
Yes, a new internal barcode that tracks it throughout the entire Worthy process. And then it goes through various stages of its life cycle here at Worthy until it's sold. The main thing is that we prepare it for the auction, for the buyers to see. We clean the item. We take, again, more digital photography, very close, what we call beauty shots of it for the auction.
And actually, we have like the coolest cameras for that. We have there's the 360 video.
Yes.
And then I don't know the name for the other one, but we've got the real beauty shots.
We have I just lost my train of thought. Nikon cameras that take digital photography.
And we've got those like light boxes and everything.
We have very, very controlled light situations that have revolving platforms in it to the turntable for the 360.
A while ago we were doing like your photo versus our photo, because we used to have people send us pictures of their ring.
Yes.
And it's amazing. I mean, like obviously people can go on eBay, they can go to Craigslist, they can try Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
And it's like night and day.
Yes.
The way after your ring is cleaned here, it's 100 times more. I always want everything that I own cleaned when I'm in the office, and I love it, and everything just looks so much more high quality, so much more expensive.
Yes.
And then you get these beauty shots of it, and like side by side, it's like you can't believe it's the same item.
Yes.
It's really, I mean, it seems like not that big of a deal, but when you're trying to sell something,
yes.
it's a huge difference.
Makes a big difference, absolutely. And that's why we have professional ultrasonic machines, we have steam cleaners.
Yeah.
We go through all that care up front to get the piece right. Then we do the photography. We decide where the item's going to go, either the Gemological Institute of America, the GIA, for its evaluation, its independent evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
So, or it will go to IGI or GHI, and that determination is whether or not we can remove the center stone
Right.
from the mounting.
And I think we're kind of,
Jumping around.
which is totally fine. We can
Yeah.
go wherever we want.
Right.
But I'll ask you now because I think it's prevalent.
Yes.
When do you remove stones? Do you just remove stones? I know this
First
is
of
a
all,
pain point for a lot of people.
First of all, the customer has to feel comfortable.
Right.
Okay, that's the number one thing.
Right.
If they're not comfortable with it, we won't remove it.
Right.
Regardless of the size.
Right.
If the ring has a pre-existing Gemological Institute, a GIA certificate, we still need to update it if it's older than a year, because our buyers really want
Right.
to have an updated certificate. To remove a stone is very simple. We have trained diamond setters that will remove it, and it's very safe. It's done under camera.
Right.
And then
And
once,
for me, I think I just want people to hear that we would never do it without their permission.
Never
And
do it
we'll-
without
and-
their permission.
And we have, I think you can, if you're watching this, you can see some of our account executives in the
Yes.
background here, and they're wonderful. They work really closely with you throughout the
Yes.
process. So, you know, if you are to decide to send an item in, obviously this is not the only place that you'll be able to get this information.
Right.
But they are the ones who will be dealing with you one-on-one and
Asking.
getting permission to do
Right.
that. And we would never alter your jewelry without your permission.
100%.
Yeah.
And if it looks like we can't remove it safely,
Right.
or put it back in,
Mm-hmm.
we will ask you anyway. If it, some people don't care, they're
Yeah.
going to sell their item anyway.
Right.
This is the best way to sell it. If the stone is loose, the buyer can see the stone entirely, and we can do a 360 video like we
Mm-hmm. Right.
talked about earlier of the entire diamond, which is great. And then international buyers who are offshore, who can't really have to rely on photography, will bid more if
Right.
we have a complete 360 video of the stone.
And that updated
Yes, and the updated
GIA
GIA.
certificate.
Yes, very
Um,
important.
Right. So, okay, I want to take a little bit of a step back, and I want to ask you a little bit about the diamond industry
Okay.
as a whole.
Sure.
So, I'm on social media all the time as Worthy, and
Yes.
one of the things that I see people saying all the time is the diamond industry is a total sham, don't buy diamonds, and I'm really curious to hear what your response to that is. And from the perspective of, our clients, what do people need to understand about the diamond industry?
Well, the diamond industry is like the automotive industry. Okay, it's very, very similar. It's a industry that sells products, luxury products, that people buy for a lot of emotional reasons. And really the jewelry industry is so tied to that event, that emotion, whether it's a wedding or an
Right.
anniversary or a birth of a child
Or an
some
inherited piece. Yeah.
whatever it is. And so,
There's like a sentimental value.
yes.
Cars are maybe a little more practical. Jewelry is
Yes,
prettier.
but people buy cars emotionally
Right,
too.
also,
And
yeah.
and so they're buying it also for the look and everything
Right.
else. So, it's really about the value.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to a store and you buy an item of jewelry, you're paying a price for the designer, for the store to make money, for the manufacturer to make money, for the diamond or stone cutter to make money. And there's a lot of different layers, just like there's a lot of different layers in the automotive business.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it's time to resell your item, if you're in a divorce situation or an inheritance situation, you're not going to get that retail value. You're going to get a value that's back at the beginning of the chain, because a buyer really can pay, there's hundreds of stones out there.
Yeah.
And if you have a similar stone and your stone is more, they're going to pay less for the other stone. And the retail value, like the retail value on a car, has to be brought back down to a relative resale value.
Mm-hmm.
And that resale value is all about supply and demand, just like in cars.
Right.
So if you're buying a Mercedes and then you go to resell it, yes, a Mercedes, like a Tiffany ring, will have added value.
Mm-hmm. A higher resale value.
A higher resale value.
A Honda.
Than this, right.
Mm-hmm.
Than a similar, or even a similar car, than a Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
A Cadillac's a brand name and a higher quality car, but doesn't have the resale value of a Mercedes.
Okay.
So a Tiffany ring versus a Zales ring,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's of similar size and quality, the Tiffany still has a premium,
Yeah.
whereas the Zales doesn't.
Right.
All right. So the market value does have a big effect in how we evaluate the price of an item.
Right. And so when somebody, let's say you have a ring from Zales
Mm-hmm.
and you paid a lot for it.
Yes.
And then you find out what the resale value is.
Yes.
And how do you explain that to someone who expects to get a lot more when they sell that ring?
Well, again, there is a market cost for the diamond
Mm-hmm.
or that ring if we're selling it as a ring.
Mm-hmm.
And that market cost is the components that it's made out of.
Mm-hmm.
The center diamond, any side diamonds, and then the metal that's around there, whether it's platinum, gold. And the metal has a very definite cost based on the price of the gold today or the price of platinum today. The side diamonds have a value based on what the quality is, how many of them are there, and what shape or cut they are. And they have a definite resale value. But the whole thing is about the center diamond.
Right.
And the center diamond in the marketplace, whether it's from Zales or from Sterling or from your local jeweler,
Mm-hmm.
has a cost. It's all tied to a market price that is driven by a supply and demand in the marketplace.
Right.
So the most common diamond, there's thousands of them available in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a 1 carat G quality VS stone, there's probably 2,000 or 3,000 stones that are in the marketplace ready for sale now.
Right.
And so when you go to resell it, you have to be, your price is below that market price.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody's going to pay you cash for your diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And to pay cash versus sell it to a store and have that store pay on terms down the road and manufacture it and everything else, there's a hard number. Just like when you go to trade in your car, there's a hard number.
Mm-hmm.
That car may be available on the lot that you're trading it into.
Mm-hmm.
And so the price that they're going to resell it at is not the price you're going to get for your trade-in. It's always something less.
Right.
That's the cash value of your car.
Yeah.
It's the same way it works with diamonds.
Yeah.
There's a hard cash value for that.
Yeah.
And that's the price that diamonds are traded at
Right.
in the marketplace.
So one of the things that I think we have really tried to do as a company
Mm-hmm.
is create different kinds of educational pieces, and we have these on our blog, and we can link to them at worthy.com/podcast for anyone who's interested in reading some of these. But it's a harsh reality.
Yes.
And when you have a stone or a ring that you want to sell, we see a lot of people disappointed. And I think we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
That's because they're thinking of what they paid for it.
Right.
Just like what you paid for that car.
Right. And I think it's like, again, like we talked about how people might only have one item
Yes.
like this. And
Yes.
so, when you're not an expert and you don't know the difference between that retail and that resale price, it can
Yes.
be a shock.
A very big shock.
And that's
but-
when we see that disappointment. But we really do everything that we can. I know we talked about the cleaning and the imaging. We talked about the third-party grading, which,
And then the other big thing is that we're a marketplace.
Right.
We have people bidding on the stone all
Right.
over the world.
Right.
And so we can get a better price than a local jeweler, which is, can he put it into his store?
Right.
If he has, or does he have a customer for it?
Right.
Then he might buy it back from you.
Right.
But in 9 out of 10 cases, he's got his own inventory sitting there.
Right.
And he doesn't want to buy
Right.
buy back a ring.
Well, especially, you know, the buying power of somebody
Yes.
outside of a place with its own diamond district.
Correct.
It's like how much cash turnover do they have to be able to buy these big stones all the time?
Correct. And we have hundreds of
Yeah.
buyers.
We have all these stories too of people who they talk about they got 3 times as much with Worthy
Yes.
that they were offered locally.
Yes.
And that I think, going back to what you said about enjoying working for an internet company.
Right.
You know, we in the tech industry, we talk a lot about innovation and disrupting industries. And I
Yes.
really feel that Worthy has been able to disrupt the diamond industry
Yes.
because somebody in the Midwest or in the South or really anywhere in the United States, even people living in New York City, they come in and they use Worthy because we're doing the footwork for you. We're going to
Yes.
cover the cost of the insurance and the shipping, and we assume all of the risk. And we're going to do all of that, putting it up, having buyers bid on it. And another thing to keep in mind is that Roy's signature is on the bottom of the page, that's just major. And it really allows people to have, it's almost, I think of that part as almost like a real estate agent.
Yes.
Like, it's really hard to know what you have and to know
Correct.
what it's going to sell for.
Yes.
But when you have somebody who you can trust, who's going to take a look at it and then not just, you know, help you understand the whole process and understand what you've got, but sell it for you and,
Right.
and get it in front of the right eyes.
Right.
It's like, it's a
Get
really
it
amazing
in front
thing.
of hundreds of pairs
Right.
of eyes at once.
And approved eyes. I
Yes.
mean, maybe you want to talk a little bit about our buying community.
Yes, our buyers are all professional buyers. They are international and domestic, like I've already said, and they have tremendous buying power, and they're very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
We've had items that I've looked at and said, oh, you know, this is going to get XYZ value, and it's bid up 3 or 4 or 5 times
Wow.
above that value because they see in different parts of the country different needs.
Yeah.
And different, the marketplace internationally, what doesn't sell well here might be selling well in Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
or might be selling well in Europe.
And so if you're somebody living in, you know, South Florida,
Yes,
you don't, what access do you have to Hong Kong?
right.
Through Worthy, you've got it.
Yes, yes. It makes you be much more able to recoup
Mm-hmm.
the value out of the item,
Yeah.
the better price.
So Worthy, I think, was really built to have these kinds of things in mind.
Yes.
And when you were helping to build this, I mean, what kinds of things were you thinking about, and how did you, like, what ways, besides, unless we've already covered it and then
Yeah.
don't worry about it, but do you feel like when you were building Worthy, you had these pain points for a client in mind?
Well,
And
we did, and as more clients shipped us items, we realized that there were a lot more pain points than we realized
Yeah.
for the customer. You know, getting over the hurdle of shipping it to us,
Mm-hmm.
getting a bigger marketplace. You know, we had a great marketplace for emerald cut diamonds because we
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of them early on because they were a big seller in the early 80s, the late 80s. And then princess cuts came, and princess cuts took over the emerald cut market. And in the early 90s, everybody was buying princess cuts.
yeah.
And now the whole market has changed again in the United States,
Uh-huh.
away from princess cuts to softer, rounder shapes.
Uh-huh.
And now in Asia, more princess cuts are selling. So we're seeing the princess cut buyers in Asia
Yeah.
bidding up the princess cuts, where in this country they don't. And that's one of the pain points we found, that by building this marketplace, by creating a network of buyers, we could serve our customers better. And the other thing was just being able to do the watch business.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've really started to build up our watch business.
Right.
And the watch buyers are a very peculiar group. They're not as disciplined or as organized as the diamond market, but when you have a nice watch, when you have a Tag Heuer or a Rolex or an Omega, there are buyers for those watches.
Yeah.
Not only for the old, everybody wants the old ones,
Yeah.
but the modern ones, the ones that were bought 2 years ago or 3
Yeah.
years ago, there's a marketplace for them.
Totally.
And so developing different marketplaces for different types of diamonds, for different types of jewelry, has been really the interesting thing of building out what Worthy is.
Yeah. Well, I think we should take a quick break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back with Roy.
Super.
But if you're watching, we're not really going anywhere. We have another ad that Roy's going to read for us.
Super. Great. Moving past divorce is hard enough without your old engagement ring staring you in the eye every time you open your jewelry box. Worthy provides a smart solution for women looking to safely evaluate or elevate their rings from dusty relics of hard times to financial assets to help you embrace your fresh start. Worthy covers the cost of insurance, shipping, grading, and more. So if you're going to sell smart with Worthy. Go to worthy.com podcast to get started. We're ready when you are.
We're ready when you are.
Yes.
All right, we're back with Roy. And Roy, we started talking about our process. So we got as far as saying that people ship stuff in. So I want to talk a little bit more about the shipping process.
Sure.
So if I were to call Worthy and say, I've got this ring, what kind of advice would I get about the shipping?
Number one, follow the shipping instructions.
Right. So we provide really
clear shipping instructions. You want to use the FedEx packaging that's provided by FedEx. We offer the ability to pick up the item at your home. FedEx will come to your door. If you can, pre-package it before the FedEx truck arrives at your home. You want to get a medium FedEx box and a small FedEx box, or something larger, but you want to double box your item. And why do you want to double box your item is FedEx works in this big, massive conglomerate of boxes everywhere. And
I feel like we have a lot of boxes.
Yes.
It must be crazy at FedEx.
It's crazy at FedEx, and it's all automated. So now, your box goes on a conveyor belt right off the plane, right through the airport, right to a distribution center. And if it gets punctured, the outside box gets punctured, the inside box protects the item. If you have a small ring and it's in a plastic bag and it's inside this box and the outer box gets crushed and there's no inner box, that ring will pop out of that box because of the conveyor and the weight. So you want to have the double box. That's very important. And if you're not double boxed, you're not insured. The insurance companies demand that your item be double boxed. It has to be in 2 boxes. Even if it's a big brown box, an Amazon box,
right,
put it in a smaller box inside.
And I know we see like a lot of items come in taped to the inner box, or they have it in a ring box taped to the inner box inside the outer box. But if you're listening, this might sound overwhelming, but we really make it super clear.
It's very
and then
clear.
I mean, we have how many rings coming in a day? So many.
Over 100.
And so this is it sounds like a lot, but it's totally manageable, and we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't think we could do it in a safe way for you.
And we provide a label, a pre-addressed, prepaid label that has our destination on it, our name, and it allows you just to put the label on the outside of the box, seal it up, put your items in first, please, because sometimes people forget.
Oh gosh.
Yes, but you have to make sure that the box is sealed properly. You have it double boxed. It comes insured to us. We open it up. We check it all out.
So we talked about how we open it under a camera, and you get that first picture. You get the barcode. Then we get things cleaned. We get things photographed and videoed. It's like your ring's model moment. And then we talked a little bit about the grading. So why? I mean, you know more about diamonds than anybody. Why can you not just be the one who says this is the grading?
Because unfortunately, at the point of sale, when you buy a ring, sometimes, let's take a mall store. It can be any of them. When you buy a ring in a mall store, you're buying one style that has been reproduced thousands of times by that jewelry manufacturer who sold it to the mall store. And they come with these certificates. Some of them are even a certificate that we would provide later, IGI. But what IGI does when they're grading these thousands of rings, all the same style, they're giving a range.
Right.
Because not every diamond is going to be that particular quality. It's going to fall into a range of quality. And sometimes it's a broad range.
Right.
When you're selling your ring, you want to have the exact quality.
Right.
You want to have the exact range. And so that's why when we look at it, if we can remove it, we'll send it to GIA. If not, it'll go to IGI or GHI, who will grade it inside of the ring. And having Worthy do that doesn't allow us to have an independent view of the item.
So that's one of the things that I think people get a little bit mixed up about Worthy. They think sometimes people think that we're buying the rings.
Yes.
And we're not. We're more like the real estate agent that's helping
That's
you
right.
get that sale.
That is correct.
And so while it's really important for us to have the trust of our sellers, we also have to have the trust of our buyers, and
Yes.
being able to have that kind of relationship with them, I think gets our sellers a higher bid.
That is correct.
And that's one of the reasons why it's so important that you're here, because you're
Right.
such a trustworthy person in the industry. People know your name. And
Yes.
but even though you're so well respected, we still get that third party grading.
100%.
Because
We want that.
that's
The seller
gonna get you
wants
the
that.
best deal.
It gives
Right.
it gives the seller the trust that we are standing. We are standing with them to make sure they get the best deal. We are looking at the grading. We're going to set or give them what we feel the value is for the item at market.
Yeah.
Whether it's a watch, whether it's a necklace, whether it's a ring, whether it's a loose diamond. We evaluate what the certificate comes back. The seller doesn't understand the certificate.
Right.
They need our help
Yeah.
in order to evaluate it properly.
Mm-hmm.
And once we evaluate it and we put our value on it, then the seller can say, okay, I'm going to set my reserve price.
Right. So now, okay, the item comes back.
Yes.
And we give them an idea. We tell them what the grading said,
Yes,
and
and
you
what the
give,
range.
and we give them what we think they're going to get.
Yes.
So, okay, this is now, I think, one of the things that I love the most about Worthy. I
Yes.
think it's one of the things that makes Worthy such a good match for women who are in this situation looking to sell an item. So you say you're, the smartest man in the world about diamonds. You say, I think that you can expect from here to here.
Yes.
But some woman from anywhere in the United States can completely ignore
Yes.
what you think
100%.
she should expect.
Yes.
And we let them set their reserve price, their minimum. So tell us a little bit about how that works.
Okay, so after it comes back from grading and I look at it and evaluate it and say the market's going to be this range from X to Y. That's really where we feel it might fall slightly above that. We hope and feel that unless there's something in the marketplace that we're not understanding, that would fall below that. But in general, we feel that's the target range of where it's going to be. The seller can then set their reserve at that price, below that price,
Right.
if they're really motivated to sell. And the best thing about it is that doesn't stop where the auction is going to go. So if you give you an example. If you set the price at $1,000, that's your reserve. And I said it was from $900 to $1,200.
Okay.
At $1,000, the auction doesn't stop. The auction can go to $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, $2,000 until the bidding stops. And the seller gets the advantage of all that extra money in their pocket, minus our fees, of course. But that's what's good about Worthy. We don't, and even if you set it at $2,000 instead of $1,000, the auction runs, and you as the seller here's the final price. If it goes over $2,000, it's sold. If it goes over $1,000 in the first example, it's sold.
So when
but
it
doesn't
reaches
end.
that price that you
Yes.
set, it's an automatic sale,
Yes.
and anything that's above that,
It's just
you're
extra.
also going to get
Yes.
that. It's not, you're not capping.
You're not capping it at
Right.
$1,000. We're not stopping the auction at
Right.
$1,000. Now, if it goes below $1,000, if it goes to $800, you'll hear the best price we have for the item. And then you can determine as the seller whether or not you want to accept that.
So, okay, let's start with somebody accepts it. How do we close everything out? What happens?
There's a couple different things that happen. The first is, you get notified via email if it goes over the reserve price, and that your item is successfully won. Please put in your banking information if you haven't done so already. Now we ask for it up front so that we can save this step, but sometimes people don't get to that. And you put in your banking information, or if you want to check, or if you want to get paid in another method. We have a couple different ways to get paid, but you determine what's best for you. And some of those different ways take longer or shorter periods of time.
And it depends on your bank.
Yes, and the bank to
But
bank.
we get it done very quickly. That's one of the things that I hear people love so much about working with us, is they can't believe how fast the whole process went and how fast the money was in their account.
Yes, the fastest way is just a
bank transfer.
Bank transfer.
Right.
That's the most popular way and the fastest way.
Yeah.
If it goes below that, there's a process now that you can say, I'll accept the offer, or you can go back to the buyers, the top 5 buyers, and say, here's my buy it now price. And you can set a new price, something below. We give you a recommended range below what your initial reserve was, but closer to what the high bid was, and see if you can move the high bid closer to what you want. And that takes a few days to do. And then at the end of that, of course, you'll still hear the best price that you got, or maybe the buyer has moved this price to your price, and then it's sold to your new price.
In the unlikely event that we don't get you the deal that you're looking for, what happens? If somebody says, okay, it came in, I said I'm willing to sell for $1,000 or more, and the highest bid I got was $800. I extended. I got $815 after 3 more days, and I really don't want to sell for less than $1,000. So
then we do a couple of things. Number one, if we removed your diamond from your ring, we put it back in your ring. That's the first thing, and that takes a couple of days to process because we want to do it right. We want to make sure
these
that
are diamonds. We're not rushing around,
And we do that. If the diamond is in the ring, we then process your return. It takes 24 hours to process the return. We make sure that everything's correct. We match up everything. And then we create a new label. We have to talk to you about where you want it returned to. Because you might have shipped it from your office, and now you want it sent to your home.
Maybe you moved.
Or maybe you are going to go away, and you want it to go to your sister's house.
Right.
But you have to give us your return address.
Right. Confirm the address for the return.
Yes. And then it gets shipped back 2-day FedEx to your home or wherever.
How much does, let's say this didn't work out for somebody.
Yes.
How much does it cost? I mean, we paid for the insurance, shipping both ways, a grading. How much does a grading cost?
It depends on the size and the quality, the size of the item. But on average, it's about $80.
Okay, so we've spent, how much would you say on a standard?
There's probably about $150.
Okay, so Worthy has spent like $150, and you've decided not to sell the ring.
Yes.
So what does it cost the client? Nothing.
And they get the certificate.
Right, and they have those model shots of the ring now.
And the model shots, yes.
Yes, every once in a while I'll see something on Facebook. Somebody's got their pictures up with the Worthy logo in the corner.
Yes.
And I know. And of course they're not getting any better offers on their Facebook marketplace than we were able to get them. But it is nice that they have those pictures. And it has happened in the past that, people then take their item back, they try to shop it around, and then they end up sending it back in and selling with Worthy. And we're happy to do that.
We get that a lot where people say, can you get that offer back?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't if it's not within about 10 days because the buyer's moved on.
There's turning so much inventory.
Yes.
They're not going to remember it. And but we can start over.
Yes.
And if you do sell your ring, we have this amazing office and amazing staff, so how do we make our money to afford to do what we do?
We make our money by charging you a percentage of the sell fee, and it's anywhere from 5% to 22% depending on the value of the item.
Right, and we'll link also to where you can see the fee structure at worthy.com/podcast. And one of the things that I love whenever people, in my personal life ask me what I do and I tell them about Worthy, they always ask me what the fees are, and they're so surprised because especially online places, the fees are like 40% in most places.
Yes.
And I think that, our fees are really competitive. Your local jeweler is probably going to take also like 25%. So we
Yes.
really we do have our fee. It's how we do what we do.
Yes.
But it's a really
But it's
reasonable
a fair fee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I think the next thing that we'll do is I'm going to ask you some of the most common questions that we get.
Okay.
And we've also got this camera here, so if you want to use it to answer any of the questions, we can. At the end, we're going to look at some of the gorgeous jewelry that you've pulled out for
Sure.
us. But let's start with, this is, I think, the most common question.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about your grading report, and we talked a little bit about appraisals. And one of the
Yes.
things people are always confused about the difference between an appraisal and a grading report, and it's
Yes.
really, really important when you're selling your ring to know the
Yes.
difference.
Yes.
So tell us what's the difference?
Okay. There are three things.
Okay.
There is the invoice that you get when you buy something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then there is an appraisal, which is used for insurance purposes.
Right.
Which values the ring normally 2 times the value that you paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And why does an appraiser do that? Is because he's looking, or she is looking to the future about the value of the ring at retail.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to anticipate the price of diamonds, what they're going to look like 5 years from now or
Right.
7 years from now. And so an insurance appraisal is the value that you would receive from your insurance company less your deductible
Right.
for the ring if it's lost or stolen.
Right.
Okay? That's the
And
value.
that is the money then that you would go use to buy it again at a jewelry store.
Correct.
So we're talking purely retail. It's like your
100%
appraisal is retail.
A inflated retail.
Right. And
Okay.
that's another question that I have. I mean, it's in our interest to have your ring be worth as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Because we make more when you
Sure.
make more.
Sure.
And also for the insurance company, right?
Yeah, of
they
course.
also, the
Well,
premiums
their
that you're
premium
paying.
costs more.
So
Yes.
do you find that it happens a lot that insurance companies are over evaluating items to get higher premiums?
They overvalue.
Okay.
They overvalue, not evaluate, because the evaluation is really goes back to the grading report.
Right. That's
Okay?
like more science.
Yes, that's the
Right.
science side.
Okay.
So if the diamond is graded at a specific color and clarity and carat weight, and the metal is certain gram weight, and the side stones are certain size, that's all the evaluation part. That's the part that we do here, and that the GIA does and the IGI
Right.
company does, or the other labs. The appraisal is really just the retail version of where they think it's going to go in the future.
Right. And they'll take it as high as they can.
They'll take it because they make more money.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So and that's something buyers know, right?
Yes, of course.
So-
well, the buyers don't even look at the appraisal,
Right.
to tell you the truth.
And
the
so-
appraisal document, it means nothing to us. The only thing that a buyer looks at is the GIA evaluation of the stone, which gives them the gemological view of what the stone is,
Right.
which would then determine its value in the marketplace.
Right. And so what I usually tell people when they ask me what is my appraisal useful
Yes.
for, I say, like, for sure it can help you fill out our online form when
Yes.
you're describing your ring to us, which helps us know how much to insure it for on its way here.
Correct.
But as far as if you should expect anywhere near to that number,
It has nothing to do with the
Right.
value that you're going to receive.
and so people, again, back to this, these women who we love that
Yes.
have this one item, and
Yes.
this is a totally new industry for them and a totally new sale that they might not be experienced with. This is a moment that I think people get really disappointed.
Yes.
But it's just, again, we do everything we can to educate you about how this works and give you, given the realities of the resale market, we do everything we can to get you the best deal.
Right.
So an appraisal is like not the thing to lead with here.
No, it's not. It has nothing, no bearing
Right.
on the resale market.
Right.
It's just like you insure your car. Going back to the car analogy,
Right.
you insure your car for X dollars. When you go, you don't expect to get that money, the insurance value,
Right.
when you go to trade it in,
Right.
or when you go to sell it on eBay
Exactly.
or on Craigslist or
Yeah.
on Kelley Blue Book.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
So, this is another big one that
Yes.
we get all the time. So, a lot of the time people will send an item to us and they say, like, it's a 3-carat ring.
Yes.
And it turns out that it's 3 carats total.
Total weight.
And why is that? What is the difference and why is it important? Should I get the camera out?
You should get the camera out.
Here we go.
Because here we have a very good example.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay.
So here you have a 3-carat emerald cut center stone with 2 1-carat emerald cut side stones, and then 2 10-point baguettes on the center stone. So right here, that's one
Give
ring.
it a little wiggle for us. Let's get some
Sure.
sparkle on it. Beautiful.
And then the wedding band in the back is soldered together, and there are 2 more baguettes on the back,
Right.
on the back ring. But this ring, total weight is 4.5 carats. Okay? But it's only a 3-carat center stone. Okay? So
Right.
there's a difference. When you go and say, I have a 4.5 carat diamond ring on our platform, and say it's 4.5 carats, you would get a different evaluation
Right.
than saying I have a ring with a 3-carat
carats,
center stone
right.
and 1.5 carats in side stones.
And so, okay, here's another question then, and we'll come back and look at another one with lots of little diamonds to talk about total
Sure,
carat weight, because
sure.
I know that's an important piece of this. But when we sell an item, like we were just looking at this ring, it
Yes.
has a 3-carat stone in the middle, and then it has all these other
Yes.
smaller stones. And is this platinum or white gold?
It's platinum.
So, and it has platinum. So when you sell this item,
Yes.
what are you selling?
We're selling the entire ring.
Okay.
Okay? What we will do, we will ask the seller to remove the center stone, and in this case we would remove the
Yeah.
2 side stones because they're large
Right.
enough to get their own GIA certificates. So this ring that we just looked at would have 3 GIA certificates.
Okay.
Okay? And then we would evaluate the 4 baguettes and the platinum separately, and one total value. So you'd have a value for the center stone, an internal value, how I look at it, an internal value for the center stone, 2 values for the 2 side stones because
Right.
they each have their own GIA certificate, and a value for the side small baguettes and the platinum. You'd get one evaluation for the entire ring of all those components together.
Okay. So
Okay.
when you sell with Worthy,
Yes.
you're going to get every piece that is
Every
of value
piece.
is going
Correct.
to sell, and you'll get.
Correct.
So it's not like, I know there are some places where they'll take the stone and then you send your gold
Yes.
over here,
Yes.
but we will
No.
take care of the whole thing for
Yes.
you. Okay,
Yes.
great. So now let's get back to the question of total
weight.
carat versus center stone.
So here's another
Let's look at.
here's another version.
Okay.
So here's a princess cut center, which is a 3/4 carat center diamond, and then there's another carat of side diamonds around it. Okay, so this is a 1 3/4 carat total weight ring. At point of sale at a mall store,
Yeah.
that's how they would sell it. A
That's
1
what they-
3/4 carat
yeah.
ring.
Right.
So when a customer then goes into Worthy and puts their information in, they would put it as a 3/4 carat center stone
Right.
and a 1 carat total weight side stones.
So it's frustrating because the
Yes.
jewelry store is going to sell it to you one way and the buyers are going to buy it in another
Yes,
way.
yes.
And there's, that's one of those harsh realities that
Yes.
like we really can't do anything
Yes.
about that. That's, the jewelry store knows what they're doing and
And
they're
a lot
able
of
to sell it
people-
to you that way, but
a lot
you
of
can't
people
sell it that
would,
way.
would input into our system 1
Right.
3/4 carats
Right.
of diamond.
Yeah.
And then we're evaluating it based on a 1 3/4 carat center diamond,
Right.
which inflates the value.
So when it comes here and
Yes.
you've sent it out for grading
Yes.
and you come back with different numbers, how does the price adjust?
Well, we would evaluate it on a 3/4 carat center diamond. Okay? And then our team would call the seller and say, you have a 3/4 carat center diamond and a 1 carat of side diamonds plus the 14 karat gold.
Right.
And here's the total value for that. Unfortunately, though, a lot of times when the seller first gets their initial estimation, that estimation is based on a carat, 1.75 carat diamond, which is totally different.
Right.
A totally different price point.
Yeah.
And so we have to explain that away by the difference between total carat weight and center carat weight.
Right. And that's like one of those other moments where like
Yes.
sometimes I think people maybe misunderstand why
Yes.
that's happening.
Yes.
But we really are always doing everything that we can to get people the best deal possible.
Absolutely.
And even if that's how the jewelry store sold it to you, our
Yes.
buyers know exactly what the jewelry store was
Right.
doing, and
Yes.
that's, it's something that's in the past that we can't.
Well, when you see those flyers from the mall store in your
Right.
Sunday paper,
Yeah.
and they're saying 1 carat total weight, and you look at it and there's a small center stone
Right.
and all these stones
Yeah.
around it, that's not a 1 carat center stone.
Right.
And it has to be priced
And
appropriately.
these rings, like a lot of the time, we see a lot of these cluster rings that
Yes.
have the 4
Yes.
square
Yes,
diamonds in the
invisible
middle,
set, yes.
and it's beautiful. It's
Yes.
really beautiful, and
Yes.
of course, people should wear them in good health.
Absolutely.
But as far as the resale value goes, it's not.
It's nowhere
not the
close.
same kind of a
No.
deal as
No.
these
They're
rings with
sold
bigger
as
center
a
stones.
total weight ring,
Right.
and when you look at all the parts,
Yeah.
that's how you have to evaluate it as parts.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
Right. Okay. That's. I think we've covered the big two.
The two big two, yes.
So now we'll have a little bit more fun. We talked about minimums. Okay, let's say there's somebody who has a GIA certificate from last month in Minnesota.
Yes,
Does she have to send her ring in to use worthy?
yes.
Okay.
And why is because first of all we have to do all the photography, all that work. All that work has to get done. We have to verify that the stone matches the certificate. Believe it or not, jewelry stores sometimes make mistakes.
Yeah.
And we've had this happen where the certificate doesn't match the stone in the ring.
Wow.
Okay? And I'll give you a good example of how it happens. A store has 3 or 4 loose diamonds, very similar in size, and they're showing it to a client who wants to buy one of the stones, and for whatever reason, the salesperson makes a mistake and puts the wrong ring, the wrong diamond together with that ring, and the certificate goes along with that, and then it comes downstream to us, and we look at it, and there's no way it matches.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have to then send the original certificate, the diamond to GIA, and have them reevaluate it
Right.
and match it up for the way
What
it is
a
now.
nightmare.
It's a very big
And I know
nightmare.
we've also had people send things in and then they find out that it's not a real diamond.
Well, that's another real problem. Unfortunately, some people will say they bought a diamond.
Yeah.
And,
that's something
or
we
they'll
see.
sell the center diamond
Right.
out of the ring
Right.
at a later time. They need cash or whatever, and they put in a
That's-
CZ or they
right.
put in another moissanite
Yeah.
or something else.
So we hear about that a lot on social too. People
Yes.
who come across our site and they're
Yes.
really excited about it and they say, "Oh, I took it to my jeweler
Yes.
before I was going to send it in, and it turns out it's not a diamond." And
Right.
it happens a lot. It's
Yes.
it's disappointing, but
Yes.
that's a thing that really happens.
Or it's a synthetic diamond.
Right. Right.
Yeah, which is another big thing now.
Okay. We talked about the insurance. We will insure things based on the information that our clients give us
Correct.
when they start the process. And it's up to $100,000.
Yes.
And that's all on us.
Yes.
And then, is Worthy safe? That's another question I get all the time.
Listen, we don't own any of the jewelry that we sell.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody else's merchandise, and we take this very, very seriously. It's our seller's merchandise. We want to facilitate a sale for them, but we never take ownership of it.
Right.
And we do everything we can to make sure that we track the item from the point it's received to the point either it's sold to our buyer or given back to them. And our whole role in this is to facilitate a sale. And we are extremely careful with our sellers' items to make sure that nothing impacts them. Everything's barcoded, everything's tracked. We have cameras at every key location. So we do everything we can to ensure that our seller feels that Worthy is going to protect them
Yeah.
during this process.
I mean, you can't even get up to this floor without a special key.
Correct.
It's
Yes.
This is a really secure facility,
Yes.
and there's amazing people working here.
And we have very good relationships with GIA, which
Right.
is the best lab in the
It is,
world.
yeah.
And IGI and GHI are other very good labs. All of our employees are vetted and bonded
Right.
and insured, and my team really does a great job to make sure that, your ring is your ring when it's shipped.
I think you also, you talked about how you have been through a divorce, and
Yes.
it's just like a part of your experience being
Yes.
here. And I
Yes.
think for everybody here,
Mm-hmm.
on the one hand, yes, this is a secure facility, and we've put all of the practices in place. We have a great relationship with Brinks.
Yes.
We have a great relationship with FedEx, and we're on top of all of those things. But
Right.
also the people that are the people who are unboxing your item, the people who
Right.
are cleaning it, they know the stories that are coming
Yes.
in with these items, and there's so much love for our clients
Yes,
here. So
yes.
it's like, it's safe and sound. Like,
Yes.
it's beyond this. We
Yeah.
look at it as beyond the security, and I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that really makes our company different from other options that people have.
Right. And like I said earlier, we're not here to make them an offer and just buy it from them and
Right.
then resell it.
Right.
We're here to make sure they get the most
Yeah.
that they possibly can.
Right.
And part of that is doing all this extra work that gives their item the best chance to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And you touched on it. It's very emotional for us.
Yeah.
We are in tune with our sellers. We become part of
Completely.
their process.
Right.
And we're there. We hold their hand through the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's really, really great.
And I think this podcast is kind of a piece of that.
Right.
The fact that we're
Sure.
able to do something like this when, this is what we're normally we have, writers and different kind of divorce professionals and
Right.
single moms on the podcast, and their stories are really important. And one of the things that we really like to do is we know that we are providing the best solution to women who are at this stage of their life
Yes.
with their jewelry. But there's not enough people that are advocating for these women and giving them the
Right.
attention and the content that they really deserve, and it's something that people aren't always talking about. And so I think you can see how what we're able to do with jewelry has grown into so many different things.
Yes.
It's not just this podcast, it's our blog and our
Yes.
newsletters and our
It's been a
Facebook
great
group.
thing.
And
It's been a great
yeah. Mm-hmm.
thing for our company to get involved in. And the divorce process is sometimes a very lonely
Yeah.
process. And
Yeah.
I think we're here to help them in this facet of their divorce, hold their hand through it,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and make them feel secure and safe that they're doing the right thing. They can reach out to any of our partners in the financial groups that we partner with, or
Right.
or advice columns.
We have like Erin Levine of Hello Divorce, so she's
Yes.
like in the Bay Area, but
Right.
she's doing this kind of national thing now. She's talking about the legal process of divorce, and we
Right.
talked with a lawyer in North Carolina, and we're really trying to give them like the
Yes.
360, but we know that we're the people on diamonds,
Right.
and so like
Yes.
I'm so glad that we're getting to do this episode, because this is this
Yeah.
is what it's all about, and I think it would maybe not be the most interesting podcast every week,
Right.
but but this is this is the meat of our sandwich, and
You're
we're
right. I'm not that interesting. You're saying
no, you're fascinating, and the
Oh,
diamonds are so fun, and we'll take a
Yes.
closer look too. But I hope that people feel that
Yes.
piece of it, that it's not, yes, we've got the experts, yes, we've got the security, but also there's a lot of compassion that goes into what we're
Yes,
doing here.
100%.
And we're trying to give them everything that we possibly can. So, okay, we talked about the fees. We talked about how this provides solutions that you can't really get locally. What items do we accept? And then I think we can probably start looking at some of the items.
Yes. So we accept almost every type of jewelry, as long as it is gold, platinum, palladium. We do accept some silver if it's branded, like David Yurman, but non-branded silver really doesn't have a lot of intrinsic value. But if there's added value from a brand, we would accept some silver jewelry as well. And we're doing something exciting, which is our new Inheritor project, where we accept jewelry boxes, and So we accept collectibles now. We'll do gold pens, gold coins, things like that. But any type of diamond jewelry is really our key niche. We're
Right.
really, really strong. Loose diamonds. I have a loose diamond here to show you. And then, of course, any kind of watch. We have an extensive list of watch brands on our site that we do accept. There are some lesser quality watches like Swatch or Timex that we don't accept because there isn't a big resale market for it, or there's no intrinsic value. A plastic Swatch watch, although it has a lot of collectors out there.
Yeah.
But those are Swatch collectors,
Right.
and it's a very specific business.
Right.
But as far as intrinsic value in a watch,
Right.
Pocket watches, pendant watches, antiques.
And we do men's stuff too.
Yes, of course, cufflinks
So, right.
and men's rings,
We've had
men's wedding
some. I
rings.
love when we get men's rings.
Yes.
I'm always like,
Yes.
I've never seen a man wearing these, giant diamond rings, but
Yes.
they're so cool, and
Yeah.
it's always fun to see those come through. So we sell men's and women's jewelry.
Absolutely.
And what kind of stones do we sell?
We do most of the big, more common gemstones. Ruby, emerald, sapphire, Paraiba tourmaline are the key ones that we sell. There are some more esoteric stones like Alexandrite that we can do. Padparasha.
Right. So we've got all of this information on our website,
Yes.
and we'll link to that so people
Yes.
will be able to find it. But we do sell more than engagement rings.
Yes.
And we are growing, and that's one of the ways that, if you have something that you've inherited or
Yes.
something that you're looking to sell,
We'd love to hear from you
it's
to
definitely
give
worth
you-
checking with us, because
Yes.
if we think we can help you, we would love to help.
Absolutely.
And we'll let you know. Transparency is a core value,
Yes.
which is another reason that I was so excited to have you on, because giving people the opportunity to really meet you and
Yes.
hear from you and to talk about the whole process and everything, and really just kind of opening the doors. We're sitting in our New York office,
Right.
and so if you're listening and you can hear a taxi every once in a while, that's the reason why. Okay, so I want to take a look at these items that you've got,
Sure.
and I want you to tell us what you think they would sell for too. Let's get this
Okay.
camera on. Okay.
So this is what we call a Riviera necklace. It's a diamond line necklace.
Will you hold that up for us?
Sure.
That's so beautiful. So what's the story on this one?
So this particular item, there is about 8 carats of diamonds total weight. As you can see, there's one center diamond and it graduates up the back. And this particular piece will sell approximately for $6,000.
Okay, and now this is an example of total carat weight.
Total carat weight.
That's a little bit different than the rings, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
how does that work?
Well, again, we give a estimation value based on the total carat and the quality of the diamonds. We give an overall quality. In the case, sometimes, not in this particular item, but in the case where the center stone is larger, we might pull it out
Right.
and have a GIA certificate done.
Okay.
But this one,
You think this will sell as a
complete
whole.
necklace, yes.
Okay, and so
Yeah.
that, because of the size of the piece and everything, it's
Yes.
more likely to sell
Yes.
as an item
As
than
an item,
as
100%.
it's the pieces of
yes,
it. Okay.
Yes, 100%. This is just a jewelry item in gold, 14 karat white gold.
Okay, so what's next?
Next, we have a lady's Rolex watch, Jubilee band, and this particular item will sell for about $3,000. It's 18 karat gold, bezel, and link, two-tone, stainless steel. Classic Rolex watch, ladies' Rolex watch.
And do we have different buyers for the watches? Or are they
Yes.
the same buyers?
Yeah,
different
they
buyers?
different buyers than the diamonds and jewelry. Yes, 100%. Watch buyers are very specific
Yeah.
about it, and they're in the watch business, and we have buyers for all different brands,
Okay.
men's and ladies.
All right, now we're getting to the rings.
Yes. So this is the 3/4 carat center stone and the carat
Right, this is the
total
one we
weight.
talked a
This
little
is
bit about.
in white gold, 14 karat. So in this case, we would give an overall value for the entire ring.
Mm-hmm.
This ring would sell for approximately $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we call a halo design.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a center stone with a halo of diamonds around it, with some larger diamonds
Beautiful.
in the ring itself on the sides.
Great.
Okay. And here is what this originally was: 3 rings, but they soldered them together and made one large ring with 2 wedding rings and a center diamond ring, solitaire.
And what is
That's
this?
a marquee
This
center.
is a marquee.
1 carat center stone with 3/4 carats on each side in baguettes and square baguettes and round diamonds.
So I see people all the time online talking about, I have a marquee cut diamond. It's not
Yes.
going to, people tell me that I can't get anything for it.
Yes.
How do we sell these?
We sell this as a complete ring
Mm-hmm.
with a IGI or GHI certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And marquee diamonds are a little bit soft in the marketplace, softer than a round diamond, and a
Right.
little bit more difficult to sell because these rings were very popular in the 80s. And
They'll
and
make
not
a
so popular.
comeback,
Yeah,
but it's not today.
It's not today. Every style has its its day.
Right.
This particular style right now, marquee shape, is out of style, out of favor, but there is a marketplace for them. We do sell them every
We
day.
sell them every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people are always surprised about that because I think
Yes.
they bring these into their jeweler and they say, I can't sell this for you.
Yes.
But we can. They're still
Yep.
beautiful
They're
diamonds.
still,
Jackie Kennedy wore one.
yes.
I
Yes,
guess
she did.
she was Jackie O when she was
Yes.
wearing it, but
No,
we can
there's a market
definitely-
for it.
yeah.
It's not in this
where
country,
they can
it's
help.
offshore.
Yeah.
Yep. Next, I brought just a classic solitaire. And so this is a 4-pronged
Yeah.
solitaire with a 1 carat center stone. This would sell for about $2,200.
Wow.
It's a little lower quality center stone, but very classic. It's available all across the United States. We sell these every single day.
Yeah.
In this case, we would remove the center stone. We haven't removed it yet, and get a GIA certificate for it.
Right. That is
In a white
the
gold.
most classic.
The most classic.
Yeah.
And then we have the emerald cut,
Yeah.
3 carat center stone with the 1 carat emerald cut side stones and the tapered baguettes on the side.
So this is the one we were talking about
Yes.
earlier when we were
Yes.
talking about how you would evaluate these 3 big ones.
Yes.
Okay, so
So
this
this
is
would
going to
have-
have a higher resale value.
This is going to have a very nice resale value.
All right, what are we looking at?
We're looking at somewhere between $15,000 to $22,000. I haven't evaluated this yet.
Uh-huh.
It's brand new. It came in today.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes. So, again, we'll get a GIA on all
Right.
3 stones. Then we'll determine the value.
Mm-hmm.
That's all set in platinum, but it's a beautiful ring. It'll do
Maybe
very, very
maybe
well.
by the time we put this podcast up, we'll have
Have
some
it.
sales prices
Yes.
and we can update in the
Yes.
description.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure we
It's
will.
a really special ring. This one
It
also,
is.
it looks like it also has a band soldered to
It's
it.
a band
Yeah.
soldered to it. Yes, earlier. I said that. Yep.
Awesome.
And then lastly, I brought a loose diamond. This is a GIA certificated diamond in a presentation, GIA presentation case. And again, it would give the full quality description on the side. And this is used for people who want to make their ring later, but have a
Right.
GIA
Buy
certificate.
this diamond separately.
Yes, and so at a store they would display this as a loose stone.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for showing us these items.
You're welcome.
And I guess my last question for you, and I will also let our listeners know that anybody who's in the New York area or
Yes.
visiting or finds himself here,
Yes.
if you're not comfortable sending your ring in and you want to bring it in, we love having people
Absolutely.
here.
We see people every day.
Yeah, and we invite them in securely.
Yes.
But so people are welcome to be here, and a lot of people do have the pleasure of meeting you
Yes.
and showing you their item and talking to you and learning all about what
Yes.
we do, and they're able to get started in-house. I know
Right.
sometimes you even take them to the grading.
Yes.
And so, but we can't do that kind of hand-holding for people who are very far away.
Right.
And I know that you would love the opportunity to meet with every woman that's selling through our site, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of let them know the kind of things that you would say to a woman who comes in here.
Well, first of all, explain, like we did earlier, the process to make them comfortable.
Right.
And explain to them what the value is, where we think it's going to sell at the marketplace, and really to get them to understand, like this podcast, what we do, what our value added is for them, and explain what the market is. Because people don't have a good, this is a very, very blind item.
Right.
It's the most blind item. And in a lot of cases, the woman in the divorce, she's not participating in the purchase. She's not
Right.
participating in the quality
Right.
analysis. She's given a ring and doesn't know much about it. She may see the certificate. She may not see the certificate up front. And so getting to understand what all this is and getting comfortable with it, I think, is the key.
Right.
And so that, I think, is the biggest thing that we can do, is to help them get comfortable with the process, help them get comfortable with what the quality of the item is, what GIA adds, why we give out to GIA versus grading it in-house. And we do grade some items that are in-house, but those are items that we don't feel have significant enough
Right.
value to go to a lab.
Right.
And like we said earlier, my team and myself have years of experience. We can look at a diamond right away, determine what the quality is, where we think it's going to go. But having that GIA third-party view of it adds
It's like
a level
staging
of
your house.
That's right. That's right. That level
Yeah.
of comfort
Right.
that this is what it's gonna. This is
Yeah.
what it finally is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, especially, let's take the other example where you get an item that's inherited. You don't know what it is.
Right.
Getting a certificate is the first step to determining the value, the true worth of something.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Divorce and Other Things You Can Handle, a branded podcast from Worthy, dedicated to celebrating women like you as you embrace a new beginning after divorce, separation, or whatever. Worthy is an online auction platform designed to help you sell valuable items like an engagement ring or a wedding set. When you decide to send your ring in, we pay for the shipping and insurance to ensure that it arrives safely to our New York office. Once we receive the ring, we have it professionally graded and photographed, which helps it sell competitively in our buyer network. One of the best parts of working with Worthy is that you get to set the minimum on your item. After the grading, our gemologists will give you a recommended selling minimum, but at the end of the day, you get to decide how little you're willing to sell the ring for. If the highest bid comes in below that threshold and you decide not to accept it, we'll send you your ring back, and we'll even cover the costs of the insured shipping again. Let us help you get the best deal possible for the jewelry you've outgrown. Are you ready to embrace your fresh start? Us too! Go to worthy.com/podcast to learn more.